Jake Morrison stood at the control center of the spaceship Horizon and looked at the screen that showed nothing but stars. He had been the ship commander for 3 years now and had never seen anything like what just happened. A message had come through their communication system from somewhere far away in space. The message was not from Earth or any human colony. It was from aliens. The communication officer, Lisa Carter, worked at her computer station, trying to understand the strange signals. Her fingers moved fast across the keyboard as she ran the alien language through their translation programs. Jake watched her work and felt his heart beat faster. This was the first time any human had received a message from another species in space. "Commander Morrison," Lisa said without looking up from her screen. "I think I have something." "The translation program is working on the message now." Jake walked over to stand behind her chair. On the screen, strange symbols changed into words he could read. The message was short, but it made his blood run cold. "Help us. The Devourers have returned. They consume worlds. They enslave populations. We are the Galactic Council. 17 species united. We have watched your kind from far away. You are different from us. You fight in ways we do not understand. Time runs short. Please help." Lisa turned in her chair to look at Jake. Her face was pale and her eyes were wide. "Commander, there are more files attached to this message. Pictures and data about these Devourers they mentioned." Jake nodded for her to continue. Lisa opened the attached files, and the main screen filled with images that made everyone on the bridge stop what they were doing. Huge ships floated in space, each one bigger than Earth's moon. They looked like they were made from metal and living tissue mixed together. The ships moved in groups like hunting animals. The next image showed a planet. At least it used to be a planet. Now it was just a dead rock with huge holes dug into its surface. Cities that once held millions of people were gone. Only empty scars remained where the Devourers had taken everything of value. "How many worlds have they destroyed?" Jake asked quietly. Lisa checked the data files. According to this information, they have attacked 47 planets in the last 6 months. Each attack follows the same pattern. The Devourers arrive, surround the planet, then land massive mining machines. They take all the metal, water, and other resources. Any people who survive get captured and taken away. Jake felt sick looking at the images, but he also felt something else: anger. These Devourers were bullies who picked on people who could not fight back properly. Jake had spent his whole life dealing with bullies, and he knew only one way to handle them. "Lisa, send a message back to this Galactic Council. Tell them we received their request for help. Tell them we are coming." Lisa started typing the response message. "Commander, should I ask them for more details about their military forces or their battle plans?" "No," Jake said firmly. "Just tell them we are on our way. We will figure out the rest when we get there." The bridge crew worked quickly to prepare the ship for a long journey into unknown space. Pete Davis, the navigation officer, plotted a course toward the coordinates the aliens had sent. Amy Ross, the weapons specialist, ran checks on all their guns and missiles. Tony Garcia, the chief engineer, made sure the engines could handle the trip. While his crew worked, Jake sent a priority message back to Earth Command. He explained about the alien message and his decision to respond to their call for help. Within 2 hours, a reply came back from Admiral Steve Parker on Luna Base. "Morrison, you are authorized to make contact with these aliens. Earth Command is sending additional ships to support your mission. Captain Ryan Bell will lead a full battle. Group to meet you at the coordinates. This could be humanity's chance to join a larger community in space. Do not mess this up. Jake smiled when he read the Admiral's message. Steve Parker had been his training instructor 15 years ago. The man never used soft words when hard ones would work better. Over the next day, more information came from the Galactic Council. They sent detailed star maps showing the location of their worlds and the path the Devourers were taking as they moved through space. They also sent files about their own military forces. Lisa studied these files carefully, and what she found worried her. Commander, look at this data about how the Council fights. They use energy shields to protect their ships, but they do not have many weapons. Most of their military equipment is designed to disable enemy ships, not destroy them. Jake looked at the alien ship designs on the screen. They were beautiful, with smooth curves and bright colors. They looked more like art than military vehicles. What kind of weapons do they have? Mostly non-lethal systems. Stun beams, electromagnetic pulse generators, tractor beams to hold enemy ships in place. According to their military reports, they try to capture enemy forces and negotiate peace. Settlements. Amy Ross laughed from her weapon station. They try to negotiate with monsters that eat planets. No wonder they are losing this war. Jake had to agree with Amy. The Galactic Council seemed like good people who wanted to solve problems without violence. But sometimes violence was the only language that bullies understood. The Devourers clearly did not care about peace talks or surrender offers. 3 days later, the Horizon arrived at the meeting coordinates the Council had sent. Jake expected to see empty space, but instead found dozens of alien ships waiting for them. The ships were exactly like the pictures Lisa had shown him. Beautiful and elegant, but not built for serious fighting. A new message came through their communication system. This time it included a video signal showing the alien who was speaking. Jake found himself looking at a creature that seemed to be made of light and mist. It floated inside what looked like a crystal bubble. Humans of Earth, I am Speaker Thane of the Zephyrian people. We welcome you to this gathering. We have prepared a ship where our representatives can meet with your leaders. We have much to discuss and little time to waste. Jake straightened his uniform and checked his appearance in the reflection of the control screen. Lisa, send a reply. Tell Speaker Thane that I will come aboard their ship to meet with them. Have Pete prepare a shuttle for departure. Lisa looked worried. Commander, are you sure it is safe to go over there alone? I will not be alone, Jake said. Amy and Tony will come with me as my security team. If these aliens wanted to hurt us, they would have done it already. Besides, they are the ones who asked for our help. As Jake prepared to meet aliens for the first time in human history, he thought about the images of destroyed worlds the Council had shown him. Somewhere out in space, the Devourers were moving toward more planets full of innocent people. The Council had tried to stop them using peaceful methods and failed. Now they had called for help from a species they admitted they did not understand. Humans who fought in ways that seemed strange to them. Jake suspected the Council had no idea what they were really asking for when they contacted Earth. They were about to find out that sometimes the best way to stop a monster was to send an even more dangerous monster after it. Jake Morrison, Amy Ross, and Tony Garcia stepped off their shuttle onto the alien ship and immediately knew they were somewhere completely different from anything humans had ever built. The walls seemed to be made of living crystal that glowed with soft blue light. The air smelled like flowers and rain. Everything was smooth and curved with no sharp edges anywhere. Speaker Thane floated toward them in his crystal bubble, followed by 6 other aliens from different species. Jake tried not to stare, but it was hard not to look amazed. One alien looked like a walking tree made of silver bark. Another was covered in fur and had a face like a fox. The strangest one was 12 feet tall and seemed to be carved from blue stone. "Welcome, humans," Speaker Thanes said through a translation device. "We are grateful you answered our call for help. Allow me to introduce the other council members. General Voreth of the Kronax people." The blue stone giant nodded slowly. "Scientist Kirix of the Vulani." The fox-faced alien twitched her ears in greeting. "Ambassador Elm of the Thornwood Collective." The tree-like being rustled his leaves. Jake stepped forward and tried to remember the diplomatic training he had received at the academy. "I am Commander Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Forces. This is Weapons Specialist Amy Ross and Engineer Tony Garcia. We are here to learn about the threat you face and how we can help." General Voreth spoke in a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. "The Devourers are unlike any enemy we have faced before. They appeared 6 months ago from the dark space between galaxies. Our scouts report they move in massive fleets, consuming everything in their path." Scientist Kirix pulled up a holographic display showing the galaxy with red dots marking Devourer attacks. "They do not respond to communication attempts. They ignore surrender offers. They show no interest in negotiation or mercy. They simply take what they want and move on." Amy looked at the display and frowned. "How have you been fighting them? What weapons do you use?" The aliens looked uncomfortable with her question. Ambassador Elm spoke in a voice like wind through leaves. "We have defensive shields and non-lethal capture systems. Our military doctrine focuses on protection and preservation of life. We seek to disable enemy forces and then negotiate peaceful solutions." Tony laughed before he could stop himself. "You are trying to negotiate with something that eats planets? We believe all conflicts can be resolved through communication and understanding," Speaker Thane explained. "Violence should always be the last option and used only to protect innocent lives." Jake began to understand why the Council was losing this war. They were fighting an enemy that wanted to destroy them, but they were not willing to destroy it back. What happens to the people on the planets the Devourers attack? General Voreth's crystal body dimmed. "Those who survived the initial attack are taken prisoner. We believe they are being used as slave labor to operate the Devourer mining equipment. Rescue attempts have failed because we cannot locate where. The prisoners are being held." Amy studied the tactical information on the holographic display. "Your ships are fast and have good shields, but your weapons are designed to capture, not kill. The Devourers probably laugh at your stun beams and tractor rays." "We do not understand your meaning," Scientist Kirix said. "Why would anyone laugh at weapons designed to preserve life?" "Because dead enemies cannot hurt you," Amy said simply. "Living enemies can regroup, learn from their mistakes, and attack again with better tactics." The aliens looked shocked at Amy's words. Speaker Thane floated backward in his crystal bubble. "Your species truly is different from ours. We had heard reports about human conflicts from our long-range observers, but we did not fully understand what we were seeing." Jake realized this was the moment he needed to be completely honest with the Council. "Speaker Thane, when you sent that message asking for help, what exactly did you expect humans to do for you?" "We hoped you might have different ideas about how to fight the Devourers, perhaps new technologies or tactics we had not considered. Your species has a reputation for creative problem-solving," Tony grinned. "Oh, we have lots of creative ideas about how to solve the Devourer problem. Most of them involve blowing things up." We do not wish to cause unnecessary destruction, General Vorth said firmly. Our goal is to stop the Devourers while minimizing casualties on both sides. Amy shook her head. General, with respect, the Devourers are not showing any concern about casualties on your side. They are trying to wipe out your entire civilization. Sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. Jake pulled up his own tactical display showing the human ships that were approaching their location. Council members, I want to show you something. These are the reinforcements Earth Command is sending to help with your Devourer problem. The holographic display filled with images of human warships. Unlike the beautiful, elegant Council vessels, the human ships looked like flying weapons. They were covered with gun turrets, missile launchers, and armor plating. Every line of their design focused on one purpose: destroying enemies as efficiently as possible. Scientist Kirek stared at the display in horror. Those ships carry nuclear weapons. We detected the radiation signatures from here. Why would anyone build vessels capable of destroying entire cities? Because sometimes entire cities need to be destroyed, Jake said calmly. If the Devourers had attacked Earth, we would not try to capture their ships and negotiate. We would blow them into tiny pieces and then blow up the pieces. General Voreth's crystal body flashed with bright light. Such violence is unthinkable. There must be better ways to resolve conflicts. Amy looked directly at the alien general. Tell that to the 47 worlds the Devourers have already consumed. Ask the millions of people who are now slaves if they think violence against their captors would be unthinkable. The council members spoke quietly among themselves in their own languages for several minutes. Finally, Speaker Thane turned back to the humans. We understand your perspective, but we cannot abandon our principles. However, we recognize that our current methods are failing. Perhaps we can find a middle path. Jake nodded. We are willing to work with you to develop new tactics. But you need to understand that humans fight differently than you do. We do not aim to capture enemies who are trying to kill us. We aim to stop them permanently, Tony added. Plus, we do not give up. Ever. Even if we are outnumbered and outgunned, humans will keep fighting until either we win or there are no humans left to fight. The aliens looked at each other with expressions Jake could not read. Finally, scientist Kirek spoke. Perhaps that is exactly what we need. The Devourers adapt to our predictable tactics because we always respond the same way. They cannot adapt to tactics they have never seen before. Speaker Thane floated closer to Jake. Commander Morrison, we are placing our hopes in your hands. Show us how humans fight. Teach us your ways of war. Help us save our worlds from the Devourers. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The Council was asking humanity to save galactic civilization. They had no idea they were about to unleash something far more dangerous than they realized. Admiral Steve Parker arrived at the Council meeting point with 12 human warships and a battle plan that made the aliens very nervous. His flagship was the Dreadnought Vengeance, a massive vessel built for one purpose: destroying anything that threatened Earth. When the Council representatives saw it on their screens, several of them actually moved backward. Jake Morrison stood in the command center of the Vengeance next to Admiral Parker, watching as the final preparations for battle were completed. The Devourers had been detected moving toward the Altair system, where 4 billion Council civilians lived on 3 different planets. The aliens had started evacuating people, but they would need time to get everyone to safety. Admiral, Speaker, Thane said through the communication system, we must ask again if there is no way to resolve this conflict without massive destruction. Admiral Parker looked at the holographic display showing the approaching Devourer fleet. Hundreds of biomechanical ships, each one the size of a small moon, moved through space like a swarm of metal insects. Speaker Thane, those things have destroyed 47 worlds. They have enslaved millions of your people. They are not interested in talking. Dr. Lisa Carter, who had been studying Devourer technology captured from previous battles, spoke up from her science station. Admiral, I have been analyzing their biomechanical systems. The Devourers are not just raiders. They are a hive mind that converts captured populations into part of their collective consciousness. Every person they take makes them smarter and stronger. General Vorath appeared on the main screen from his crystal ship. Dr. Carter, are you saying the missing populations are still alive inside the Devourer Collective? Lisa nodded grimly. Their minds have been absorbed into the hive. Their bodies have been modified with mechanical parts to serve as drones. In a way, they are still alive, but they are no longer themselves. Amy Ross, now serving as Admiral Parker's tactical advisor, studied the enemy formation. Admiral, the Devourers are using a standard swarm approach. They surround their target and attack from all directions at once. Our ships are faster and more maneuverable, but they have us outnumbered 5-1. Admiral Parker smiled coldly. Good. If they outnumbered us 10-1, it would be a fair fight. Amy, deploy Fighter Squadrons Alpha through Delta. Tell them to engage enemy scouts and draw them away from the main formation. Pilot Alex Turner led the first wave of human fighters as they launched from the Vengeance. His squadron of 20 Raptor-class fighters moved like a pack of wolves, each pilot knowing exactly what the others would do without needing constant radio communication. They had trained together for years in war games that the Council species considered brutal and primitive. Contact! Contact! Alex reported over the radio as his fighters engaged a group of Devourer scouts. These bio-ships are tough, but they fly like cargo haulers. No fancy moves, just straight-line attacks. The Devourer scouts had expected the human fighters to behave like Council vessels, maintaining safe distances, using non-lethal weapons, trying to disable rather than destroy. Instead, Alex and his pilots flew straight at the enemy ships, firing everything they had and then ramming any targets that survived the initial assault. Tango down, Alex called as his plasma cannons tore through a Devourer bioship. These things do not know how to handle pilots who are willing to die to complete the mission. The main Devourer fleet began adapting to human tactics, but Admiral Parker had expected this. He ordered his ships to split into 3 groups and attack from different directions, using weapons and strategies the aliens had never seen before. Captain Danny Ward's destroyer launched a full spread of nuclear missiles at the enemy formation. The Council representatives watched in shock as the missiles exploded in brilliant flashes of light, vaporizing dozens of Devourer ships instantly. Admiral Parker, General Vorath protested, such weapons are barbaric. They destroy everything in their blast radius. That is the point, Admiral Parker replied. General, your people have been fighting this enemy for 6 months and losing. We have been fighting them for 6 hours and winning. Maybe it is time to try barbaric. Commander Sarah Blake led boarding parties onto damaged Devourer vessels, carrying explosive charges and weapons designed to kill rather than capture. Her teams move through the biomechanical corridors like trained killers, setting demolition charges in critical systems. If you cannot kill it with conventional weapons, Sarah told her squad over the radio, you are not using enough conventional weapons. The Devourers tried to adapt to human boarding tactics, but they had never faced an enemy that fought with such focused aggression. Council military forces tried to minimize casualties and preserve infrastructure. Human forces tried to break things and kill enemies as efficiently as possible. Dr. Carter made a disturbing discovery while examining captured devourer technology in the Vengeance Laboratory. Admiral, I have been studying their biomechanical neural networks. These creatures are not just a hive mind, they are an immune system. Admiral Parker left the bridge to visit Carter's lab. Explain. The Devourers were created by some ancient civilization as a weapon to cleanse the galaxy of aggressive species. They were designed specifically to hunt down and eliminate apex predators before those predators could threaten galactic stability. Jake Morrison, who had been listening to the conversation, felt his blood run cold. Dr. Carter, are you saying these things were built to stop races like humanity? Exactly. For 12,000 years, they have been dormant in dark space, waiting for the next aggressive species to emerge and spread across the galaxy. Our expansion into space triggered their awakening. Admiral Parker was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. So the Council did not just call us for help. They called us because we are exactly the kind of threat the Devourers were created to eliminate. Yes, Carter said. And now that they have encountered us, they are learning our tactics and adapting to counter them. Every battle makes them better at fighting humans specifically. The main Devourer fleet was regrouping after the initial human assault. Hundreds of biomechanical ships reformed their attack formation, now equipped with defenses specifically designed to counter human weapons and tactics. They had absorbed the knowledge gained from fighting Admiral Parker's forces and incorporated it into their collective consciousness. Admiral, Amy Ross reported from the tactical station, enemy forces are adapting faster than expected. They are using our own strategies against us now. Admiral Parker looked at the display showing the approaching enemy fleet. The Devourers had learned how to fight like humans, but they were still thinking like machines. That gave him an idea. All ships prepare for Operation Chaos, he announced. We are going to teach these things the most dangerous human trait of all. Jake looked at the Admiral with confusion. What trait is that, sir? Admiral Parker smiled grimly. Creativity born from desperation. Time to show them what happens when humans stop following the rules. The revelation that the Devourers were specifically designed to hunt apex predators changed everything about the war. Admiral Parker stood in the command center of the Vengeance, watching as the enemy fleet approached with tactics that looked disturbingly familiar. The biomechanical ships were now using human formation patterns and attack strategies. They are learning too fast, Amy Ross reported from her tactical station. Every engagement teaches them more about how we fight. At this rate, they will be better at human tactics than we are within days. Dr. Lisa Carter had been working non-stop in her laboratory, studying captured devourer technology and biological samples. She rushed onto the bridge with data that made Admiral Parker's worst fears come true. Admiral, I have discovered why the Devourers are adapting so quickly to our methods. They do not just copy our tactics. They absorb the knowledge and memories of every human they capture or kill. Each battle makes them smarter about fighting our species specifically. Jake Morrison looked at the tactical display showing the massive enemy fleet. Dr. Carter, are you saying they know everything our captured pilots and crew members knew? Yes, and more. They can access genetic memories and instinctive behaviors that humans are not even aware of. They understand our psychology, our weaknesses, our deepest fears. The ancient civilization that created them built the perfect weapon against aggressive species like us. The communication system activated with an incoming message from Speaker Thane aboard the Council flagship. Admiral Parker, our long-range sensors show the Devourer main fleet is heading directly toward Earth. They are no longer interested in conquering Council worlds. They want to eliminate humanity at its source. Admiral Parker felt his chest tighten. Earth held 12 billion people who had no way to defend themselves against an enemy this powerful. The orbital defense platforms around the home planet were strong, but not strong enough to stop hundreds of biomechanical ships that now knew exactly how humans fought. Speaker Thane, how long do we have before they reach Earth? At their current speed, approximately 72 hours. Admiral, we deeply regret that our call for help has brought this threat to your homeworld. Captain Danny Ward's voice came over the radio from his destroyer. Admiral, my ship took heavy damage in the last engagement. We have hull breaches on 3 decks and the main reactor is running at 40% power. But my crew is ready to fight to the end. That was when Admiral Parker realized the truth the Council could not see. The Devourers had made a crucial mistake. They understood human tactics and technology, but they did not understand the human spirit. All ships, new orders, Admiral Parker announced. We are returning to Earth immediately. Prepare for a fighting. Retreat. Make the enemy follow us every step of the way. General Vorath appeared on the main screen from his crystal ship. Admiral, surely you do not intend to lead this threat directly to your homeworld. That would be suicide for your entire species. General, you still do not understand how humans think. We are not leading the threat to Earth. We are leading it into a trap. The human fleet began withdrawing toward Earth, fighting running battles with the pursuing Devourers. Captain Sarah Blake's boarding teams continued their hit-and-run attacks on enemy ships, but now they had a different mission. Instead of trying to destroy the biomechanical vessels, they were planting tracking devices and genetic samples. Admiral, Sarah reported after her latest mission, we have successfully planted Dr. Carter's biological agents on 47 enemy ships. The virus should begin spreading through their biomechanical systems within hours. Dr. Carter had been working on a special weapon while the fleet retreated toward Earth. Not a weapon designed to kill the Devourers, but something much more dangerous to a hive mind that depended on perfect coordination. The virus I created will not destroy them, Carter explained to the Council representatives who had remained with the human fleet. Instead, it will introduce random mutations into their collective consciousness. The Devourers will start evolving in unpredictable directions. Scientist Kirix looked confused. Dr. Carter, how will random mutations help us defeat them? Because hive minds require perfect unity to function properly. If different parts of their collective start developing incompatible evolutionary paths, they will lose the coordination that makes them so dangerous. The Devourer fleet reached Earth's solar system 60 hours later, just as Admiral Parker had predicted. But they found a home world that had been preparing for this moment since the first distress signal from the Council. Every human on the planet had been given a choice: evacuate to the outer colonies or stay and fight for their world. 12 billion people chose to stay. Earth's orbital space was filled with defensive installations that violated every convention of civilized warfare. Nuclear minefields, antimatter satellites, kinetic bombardment platforms, and weapons systems that even the Council could not identify surrounded the blue planet. Admiral, General Vorath said in shock, your people have turned their entire homeworld into a military fortress. General, you asked us to save galactic civilization. This is how humans save things we care about. The Devourer fleet attacked Earth with overwhelming force, expecting to find a planet defended by conventional military forces. Instead, they encountered something no hive mind could have predicted: an entire population that refused to surrender even when facing certain death. Commander Rachel Scott led volunteer fighter squadrons made up of civilians, teenagers, and elderly, pilots who came out of retirement to defend their world. Her wing included a school teacher, a farmer, 2 college students, and a grandmother who had flown cargo ships for 50 years. "Remember," Rachel told her mixed squadron over the radio, "we are not trying to win this fight through superior tactics or better weapons. We are trying to win it through sheer stubborn refusal to give up." The volunteers flew outdated fighters and civilian ships converted into makeshift bombers. They had minimal training and inadequate equipment, but they fought with a desperation that the biomechanical hive mind could not understand or counter. Dr. Carter's virus began taking effect just as the battle reached its most intense point. The Devourer fleet started showing signs of internal conflict as different ship groups developed contradictory tactical approaches. Some vessels continued following their original programming, while others began experimenting with new and chaotic strategies. "Admiral," Amy Ross reported excitedly, "enemy coordination is breaking down. Their fleet formation is dissolving into smaller groups that are not communicating with each other effectively." The perfect immune system that had been designed to eliminate aggressive species was learning the most dangerous lesson possible: how to be unpredictably aggressive itself. The Devourers were becoming exactly what they had been created to destroy. Admiral Parker watched as the ancient weapon turned on itself, evolving beyond its original programming. "Dr. Carter, what have we done?" "We taught them to think like humans," Carter replied. "Now they cannot stop themselves from changing and growing, in ways their creators never intended. The battle for Earth lasted 18 hours, but the war was decided in the first 30 minutes when Dr. Carter's virus reached critical mass within the Devourer collective consciousness." Admiral Parker watched from the bridge of the Vengeance as the massive biomechanical fleet began tearing itself apart. "Admiral," Amy Ross reported with amazement in her voice, "the enemy ships are fighting each other now. Different groups are using completely different tactics, and they cannot coordinate their attacks anymore." The virus had worked exactly as Dr. Carter predicted. Instead of destroying the Devourers, it forced them to evolve rapidly in random directions. The hive mind that had operated with perfect unity for 12,000 years was now fracturing into dozens of competing sub-collectives. Commander Rachel Scott's volunteer squadron watched in fascination as a group of Devourer ships suddenly changed formation and attacked their former allies. "Command, this is Rachel. The biomechanical ships are shooting at each other. Should we continue our attack run?" "Negative, Rachel," Admiral Parker replied. "Pull back and let them finish each other off. We have taught them how to be human. Now they cannot stop themselves from fighting." Dr. Lisa Carter stood at her science station, monitoring the genetic changes spreading through the Devourer fleet. "Admiral, the mutations are accelerating. Each sub-collective is developing its own evolutionary path. Some are becoming more aggressive, others more defensive. A few groups seem to be developing individual consciousness separate from the hive mind." Speaker Thane appeared on the main communication screen from the Council flagship that had remained at a safe distance during the battle. "Admiral Parker, we do not understand what we are witnessing. The Devourers appear to be destroying themselves." Speaker Thane, the Devourers were created as a perfect weapon against aggressive species. But perfection is also a weakness. They could not adapt to fighting an enemy that forced them to become imperfect. Jake Morrison, who had been coordinating ground defenses from Earth's surface, joined the conversation. "The Devourers learned how to fight like humans, but they also learned how to think like humans. That means they learned how to disagree with each other. The fracturing of the Devourer Collective accelerated throughout the day. Ships that had operated as a unified force for millennia were now forming rival factions that competed for resources and territory. Some groups tried to continue their original mission of consuming worlds, but they were attacked by other factions that had developed different priorities. Captain Danny Ward, whose damaged destroyer had managed to survive the battle, watched through his viewports as two groups of biomechanical ships engaged in a vicious firefight just outside Earth's atmosphere. "Admiral, one group is trying to harvest metal from the asteroid belt while another group is attempting to stop them. They are treating each other as threats now." General Vorith contacted the human fleet from his crystal ship. "Admiral Parker, our scientists are detecting massive energy discharges from the Devourer fleet. Their biomechanical systems are overloading as they try to process conflicting evolutionary commands." Dr. Carter studied the readings from her instruments. "General Vorith, the virus has introduced so much genetic diversity into their collective that they can no longer maintain a unified consciousness. They are becoming individuals, and individuals naturally compete with each other." The final phase of the transformation began when several Devourer ships broke away from the main fleet entirely and headed toward different star systems. These vessels had developed their own goals and motivations separate from the original Hive programming. "Admiral," reported Amy Ross, "long-range sensors show the enemy fleet is completely dispersed now. Different groups are moving in dozens of different directions. Some are heading back toward dark space, others are exploring new regions of the galaxy." Admiral Parker realized that humanity had accomplished something the ancient weapons creators never intended. The Devourers were no longer a unified threat to galactic civilization. They had become a diverse ecosystem of competing biomechanical species, each following its own evolutionary path. Commander Sarah Blake, who had spent the battle leading boarding actions against enemy ships, reported her final mission results. "Admiral, my team managed to place monitoring devices on 17 different Devourer vessels. The readings show that each ship now has a completely unique biomechanical signature. They are no longer copies of each other." Speaker Thane contacted Admiral Parker as the last of the transformed Devourer ships disappeared into deep space. "Admiral, what you have accomplished defies our understanding of warfare and evolution. You did not destroy the threat. You changed it into something entirely different." Speaker Thane, "Sometimes the best way to defeat a perfect enemy is to make them imperfect. The Devourers were designed to be a flawless weapon against aggressive species. But we taught them that imperfection and chaos can be more powerful than order and control." Jake Morrison looked at the tactical display showing Earth's orbital defenses, still fully armed and ready for battle. "Admiral, what happens now? Are we safe from future Devourer attacks?" Dr. Carter answered from her science station. "The original threat is gone. The unified hive mind that could coordinate massive fleets no longer exists, but we have created something new. Dozens of independent biomechanical species are now spreading across the galaxy, each one evolving in its own direction. General, Vorith expressed the concern that was troubling all the council representatives. Dr. Carter, have we simply replaced one threat with many smaller threats?" "Possibly," Carter admitted. "But these new species will be too busy competing with each other to pose a unified threat to galactic civilization, and they will continue evolving, which means they will become less predictable and more difficult to control." The Council fleet began departing for their home systems, carrying with them the news that the Devourer threat had been neutralized through methods they still did not fully understand. The humans had saved galactic civilization, not by destroying their enemies, but by teaching them to destroy themselves. Admiral Parker stood on the observation deck of the Vengeance, looking out at Earth and the debris field that was all that remained of the great Devourer fleet. Dr. Carter, what do you think the long-term consequences of our actions will be? Admiral, we have proven that even perfect weapons can be defeated by introducing chaos and unpredictability into their systems. But we have also proven that humans are capable of changing the fundamental nature of threats rather than simply fighting them. As the human fleet regrouped around Earth, Admiral Parker reflected on what they had accomplished. The galaxy had called for help from a species known for its aggression and unpredictability. They had received exactly what they asked for, but in ways they never expected. The Devourers were gone, but in their place were dozens of new species carrying human genetic modifications and psychological traits. Somewhere in the depths of space, biomechanical creatures were learning to think independently, to compete, to evolve, and to dream their own dreams. The galaxy was safe, but it would never be the same. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not as conquerors, but as evolution's answer to stagnation.